What's going on, traders? Andrew O'Connell with Pristine Capital coming at you with yet another market recap video. It is July 6th, 2021. I am back from vacation. I was in the Dominican Republic for a couple days. I got to hang out with my family, and it was really nice. Yeah, we stayed at a resort. It was in Punta Cana, and yeah, it was like some good family time. I got to do a lot of swimming and outdoor stuff. So yeah, it was a blast. So yeah, I was out for a couple days. I missed Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of last trading week, but now I am back in full swing, and I am pumped to dive into these markets with you today. So please go ahead and click the like button on this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy this content. I will continue to make it for you. Today we're gonna go back into the price action, the indices. We're going to go under the hood and check out our sectors and style factors. We'll talk about some of my trades for today, and we'll also go through some options order flow. Before we jump into all that, quick risk disclaimer: nothing in this video should be construed as investment advice or recommendations. Please follow your own trading plan and your own risk parameters. And last but certainly not least, do not YOLO your entire account into any one of my trades. All right, let's jump back into it here. So let's check out the markets. And probably the best thing about taking a couple days off for me, like I hadn't taken a couple days away from the markets in, I would say, like a good, probably like a year and a half, I would say. So it's always nice to just like kind of recharge and actually like distance yourself from the price action and from all the narratives and what's going on. And you get to look at things with a bit of fresh eyes. So I came back and I was like, whoa, we had a really nice end of the week into the 4th of July over the last few days. Today we actually had a bit of a pullback. For our box scores, we had the S&P 500 as measured by the SPY closed down 0.18%. We had the NASDAQ QQQ finish up 0.43%. We had the IWM small caps finish down 1.45%. And we had the Dow Jones close down 0.61%. So today was a really interesting day of price action in that you're going to see, we'll go through this. The breadth was, really bad. Most stocks were going down, but we did have some technology companies which were really leading the indices and sort of keeping everything propped up. So as I look at this S&P 500, we're definitely a bit extended from this monthly value area. We're extended from this 20-day, but you can see we had a nice little pullback to this 5-day EMA today, and there were buyers that came in and supported the market. So overall, just a day of consolidation, really, in the grand scheme. Let's jump over to the NASDAQ, which is our big leader for today. The NASDAQ made yet another new all-time high. So you can see the NASDAQ as well is also getting a little bit extended here. We do have this R2 pivot up at this 14,983 level. But yeah, in terms of all this price action, really what we're seeing is money is rotating out of the more cyclical areas of the market, which were really popular throughout the first half of 2021. And now the money is moving back into those secular growers and those tech names. So you can see Russell here actually broke down below this monthly value area, and it closed below the 50-day simple moving average as well. So the Russell, this thing just continues to do nothing here. And, under normal circumstances, I'd be like, okay, this is a technical breakdown, expect more downside. But the Russell's just really been moving sideways for quite a while. And then pulling up our Dow Jones here. Yeah, the Dow Jones definitely weaker than some of the more technology-focused areas of the market. But you can see we held this monthly point of control, and we're still holding those key moving averages as well. All right, let's jump over here. Let's take a look at market breadth, and you'll see market breadth for today's session was absolutely horrible. So for me, coming into the trading session today, I'm like, okay, I see that pretty much all of these indices are very extended, and I would say we're getting to that stage of the rally where, if I had to assign like a difficulty level to the market, I would say now this has just turned up to high difficulty, where if you were in certain growth areas of the market, you might have had like 0 holdings that were down on the day. But depending on which areas of the market you were in, you can see even the NASDAQ finished up, I think it was 0.43% today, but there were only 39 advancers. So at this stage of the rally, it's very important where it's like if you're not in like the, the quote unquote right names, you could have had, a really red day in your portfolio, or a lot of your names actually correcting today. But yeah, breadth definitely, very poor. Looking at our heat map, you'll see more of that. So you'll see these financials got, completely clobbered. Energy also took a huge hit. The travel sector took a huge hit. And really it was Amazon had a really nice day, finished up 4.69%. And you can see some of these other FANG names that really held the market up. If not for those names, this would have been a really red day. But yeah, it's tough to get a complete breakdown in the market when you have some of these names that are still working really well, such as Google, such as Apple, and such as Amazon. So let's jump over to our sector map here. And yeah, solar energy is in our top slot. Let's check that out. Solar energy, was really getting pummeled for a lot of 2021. And now you can see, really nice performance today, up 1.15%. You can see the software names up 1.07%, also having a solid performance. But other than that, there were plenty of sectors that really got hit today. What I mean by that is, look at KWEB, this Chinese technology ETF. This was down 5.18% today. Regional banks were down 2.97%. You can see this emerging markets, internet and e-commerce down almost 4%. So that's what I mean, where it's like, depending on which areas of the market you were in, you could have had, really bloody day in the portfolio. But yeah, there were a couple of standouts that sort of held it together. And then going over to our style factors, you're going to see this growth style factor was up 0.55%, but a lot of the other ones were just completely decimated. So this high beta down 2.36%. If you are still in a lot of the reflation trades, you really felt that today in your P&L where, most of those exposures really got obliterated. Let's take a look here. We'll pull up some of my trades and let's actually take a look. So the first trade I put on, I believe, was in Amazon. Let's check it out here. Yeah, so let's look. We'll pull up the KWEB ETF because I did have some exposure to these Chinese names. To me, coming into this price action, like I see okay, Didi, which just IPO'd a couple days ago, is now getting slapped by the Chinese Communist Party. And it's like, that's so crazy. Like literally right after the IPO, this thing just falls off a cliff. And, all these other names are really getting taken down as well. So look at this KWEB. Awful day on high volume. And you can see this actually just made a new swing low here. So this is definitely not encouraging. So for my first trade today, let's check it out. So I closed out my Futu common shares. I closed these out at 9:32 a.m. And really my thinking here was, hey, I'm going to close these trades out first and ask questions later. Because when you get a huge gap down like this, you have no idea, is this the start of a little mini crash? Is this just going to bounce back? But for me, it was okay, I'm going to focus first on managing my risk. So I'd paid 149.85 for those shares. I closed them out for 148.52. So basically a scratch, small loss on those Futu commons. And then I took on some common shares in Amazon for $3,576.26. So for me, I was like, okay, the money's clearly flowing out of these Chinese names, and the money's clearly flowing into Amazon. And this was a clean breakout for Amazon here. Take a look at this really high volume for today's candle. So this is coming on really high relative volume. And then we got a nice extended range candle to the upside. If you look at this price action, we opened up for trading and we literally never looked back. It was just boom, we pumped higher pretty much throughout the entirety of the day. And check this out. So I'm going to pull up Amazon on the weekly chart. Clean day one breakout from this yearly value area high. So just for context, for a lot of traders out there, buying at new all-time highs is really tough to do. But look at, for instance, NVIDIA. NVIDIA, so this is also the weekly chart. This was where we got the breakout to new all-time highs. And look at where it's come. So it's gone from 654, and that's if you bought the new all-time high. Now, as of today, we're trading at about 833 bucks. So yeah, Amazon, not saying it will do the same thing. This also had the tailwind of a stock split behind it. But, whenever you get that breakout to new all-time highs, yeah, that's something I definitely pay attention to. And I was like, I'm definitely adding some exposure here. So I took some common shares in Amazon this morning. And then what else did we have here? I was kind of just watching the price action for most of the day. Didn't want to get too aggressive here. Along the similar lines of my Futu position, I closed out. I had some JD calls on. I had paid $565 for those, closed those out for $330. I just said here the risk reward was there on the entry, but these Chinese names have a way of imploding whenever they start to catch momentum next trade. And let's take a look at what JD did throughout the rest of the day. So this was another one where I was like, boom, stop out of it and move on. Yeah, and I stopped out when JD was like just below this 50-day. And you can see it just kept plummeting throughout the rest of the session. So a lot of times, it's actually very helpful for me if I just go, okay, these exposures didn't work, cut them out, and that's the first thing that I do during the trading session. Because then you're not looking back at it all day. You're not like, oh, are these stocks going to come back? Are they not? You can actually focus and hone in on what you should be watching, which, for today happened to be Amazon. And then what I did later in the session was I actually put my position in Futu back on at 2:20 p.m. So I closed out of Futu literally at 9:32 out of my common shares. And in the afternoon, after getting to see how the price action developed throughout the session, I was like, okay, I'm going to add the exposure back. Futu had come in a bit, so it was actually lower than where I closed out. And I chose to put it on via some call spreads. So I got the August 20th 145 by 155 call spreads for $4.27. I just put this name is definitely oversold now, taking a shot at it with options. And then I later added to it into the close. I just added to those call spreads for a little bit higher. So I added for $4.32. Let's take a look at Futu here. Futu, where is it? Yes, this stock. So what I noticed throughout the session was, we opened up right around here and we closed pretty much exactly where we opened up. But I saw, okay, we tested below the 50-day and we also tested below this monthly value area low here. So that's telling me is we already had that shakeout and dip buyers came in and supported this stock. So after seeing that, I was like, okay, now this stock, it's down 10% on the day. I like this company. I'm going to add that exposure back. So yeah, Futu, we'll see. My exposure, my call spreads are not really that aggressive. It's really just looking for a trip back up to this monthly value area high, by August 20th. So we'll see. Now let's take a look real quick at our options order flow. And you're going to see there was a ton of Amazon flow today. So I think Amazon was the most obvious trade to take. But somehow, I used to be of the mindset, oh, if it's an obvious trade, that means it's not a good trade. But sometimes literally just taking, the most obvious trade is actually the best trade. So let's pull this up. We'll go up to our VigTech order flow here, and let's pull up our Tradescape. So yeah, you'll see in the morning we did have a lot of put flow as the market was really struggling. There was a lot going on, a lot of different areas of the market that were really getting hit. And what I noticed here is Amazon, in terms of individual names, was the top name for call flow. Check this out. So 3,600 strike for July. In big size, that's $49 million. We got almost 100 million here also for the July 3,300 strikes. And yeah, just a lot of options activity. And it came in consistently throughout the day. So yeah, I was like, this was where if you looked at the markets, this was where the money was flowing to this specific name. Then I see it looks like there was some dip buying in Alibaba, some buying of the VIX. Let's check out Alibaba. This is kind of mixed. Let's jump back here. Let's also take a look at Apple before we break for today. And there was a lot of call flow for Apple, and this is November call flow. So we have the November 120 strike, July 130 strike. We've got the January of 2022 100 strikes. So yeah, this one is definitely worth checking out here. Let's take a look. And yeah, just as I watched this price action, I was like, this is literally like an unwind of this reflation trade that has been, winding up for the last 6 months. So let's see. And I'm going to pull up the weekly chart for Apple just because it makes it a lot easier. Yeah, so Apple also, check this out. So on the weekly chart, we're getting very close to a new all-time high here. So yeah, to me, it makes sense why we're seeing a lot of that call flow come in. Apple has been consolidating for about a year now. Same thing as Amazon. So it's not like, oh my gosh, these things are so stretched. Like literally, they've been taking their time for a year. And these are, two of the best companies in the world. So that about does it for our options order flow. And that about does it for this market recap video. For Pristine Capital members, I am going to be rebalancing the long-term trend portfolio today. I just want to take a look through it with fresh eyes and see if there's any enhancements we can make, things we can swap in, swap out, etc. That being said, hope you all have an awesome rest of your evening. I'm super pumped to be back, and I will see you all tomorrow.